So hello everybody, Reese's Reviews here, and welcome back to another video on my channel. So, with the upcoming release of Thor Ragnarok, which I'm going to see on Friday, I felt like getting into kind of the Marvel spirit, and I'm doing a special video next week ranking the Avengers, and I've already done, a few weeks ago, I did an MCU ranking of all the films. But I thought today I'm going to rank the MCU villains. Because, you know, there's that saying out there, a superhero film is only as good as its villain. And to some extent I do agree with that, because a villain is very important to me, because I need to care that what they're going to do is actually going to have consequences. For example, if they don't stop Ultron, he will destroy the world. So, things like that, I need to actually care. And most villains on this list accomplish that. They do. Quite a few of them do. But Marvel villains, some of them, quite a few of them aren't actually the best, which I've noticed. So, that's something. But let's not waste any more time. Let's just get right into it. So, in at number 16 is Emil Blonsky, a.k.a. the Abomination from The Incredible Hulk. I just don't care about this character. He tries to be all like, especially in that in the scene like in the school field, where he walks up to the Hulk like acting all hard man, and I'm just like, you're only here because the script is allowing you to be here. If this was real life, the Hulk would have just wiped the floor with you, which is one thing I could never really get with the Incredible Hulk film. The why I hate it so much is because there aren't any consequences, because he's the Incredible Hulk. Whenever he's having battles with just the military and things like that, it's not, there's no consequences to me, because he's the Incredible Hulk, he can kill anything. And then when he becomes the Abomination, he's a bit more of a threat, and I gotta give credit to Marvel for actually finding a villain good enough for the Hulk. But, still then, he looked ugly as hell. So, I just didn't like it. That was my problem. But Tim Roth's performance was okay. So number 15 is Aldrich Killian, a.k.a. the Mandarin from Iron Man 3. And I actually like Iron Man 3. It's my favourite of the Iron Man films. And but the villain situation really got on my nerves. I am one of those people that the twist really got on my nerves, because I think the person impersonating the Mandarin looked really cool, and I think he looked really villainous. And then when they found him and he was this like babbling idiot, I was like, no. I do kind of like the fact that Aldrich Killian kind of like works behind Iron Man, but at the same time and it's Iron Man's main villain, and they just messed it up. Guy Pearce really didn't do much for the character either, so that was a problem for me too. Yeah, it just wasn't that good. Most of these bottom ones aren't that good at all. Who number 14 is Malekith from Thor: The Dark World. Christopher Eccleston, I've written down all the actors here. Christopher Eccleston played Malekith in Thor: The Dark World, and everyone like puts him at the bottom of the list, and I think he is not. I don't think he's a good villain. I can't remember I don't think he speaks in English. But the only reason I put him above the other two is because that final battle when he gets control of the ether, he actually does pose a pretty big threat, which I liked. But other than that, he's kind of just a bit, yeah. And then in number 13 is the one who started it all, Obadiah Stane, or the aka the Ironmonger, played by Jeff Bridges. So in Iron Man, you had the Ironmonger, and Obadiah Stane wasn't awful as a villain, but the Ironmonger was just such an ugly-looking villain, and I do not like ugly-looking villains. The final fight he had with Iron Man was pathetic. It was just so gloomy and so badly shot. I didn't like it. And overall, I just think he was a bit one-note. But in at number 12 is Ivan Vanko, a.k.a. I had a weird accent there. Also known as Whiplash, from Iron Man 2. So Mickey Rourke played Whiplash, and I actually liked Whiplash quite a bit when he was in the Monaco Raceway with the whips. I think that was actually really good, and one of my favourite set pieces from the Iron Man films. I loved it. I think that what he suffered from Whiplash was just his screen time. There's two ways you can do a villain with screen time. If you don't have enough screen time, there's two ways it could go. It could either go, they're really subtle and they're really menacing, so you don't need to see much of them to know how evil they are. Or in this situation, it could kind of just be he doesn't have enough screen time, so you don't really get to know him enough and don't really get to know his plan enough. Which is a problem for me. And I think in this case it was kind of, you didn't get to know enough about him to really care about him. So yeah. But in at number 11 is one of the more recent villains, Caecilius from Doctor Strange. And he was too silent. Yeah, he was just a bit kind of, he kind of come in, did his stuff, and then but he didn't say anything. And I didn't like that he kind of had no menace about him, which was a big problem for me. And the final fight wasn't even around him, it was with Dormammu. So, like, what does that say about Caecilius? Is he not even worth it? Is there some greater evil? Which there obviously is. But Mads Mikkelsen, I actually think, did put in a pretty good performance as him. Yeah. But in at number 10 is Ronan the Accuser from Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 1. Played by Lee Pace. I think he looks amazing. I really, really like the way they painted his face. And I think he did pose a threat, and that's what I like with the Infinity Stone and the hammer. But he was very one note in terms of villainy, and he tried to double cross Thanos, which could have been pretty big, but it didn't feel big for some reason. And then the final battle with him I had big problems with, because I know it does fit in with the kind of movie that they'll have a dance battle to divert him. But at the same time, it's like, no, I just don't think it worked. I really don't think it worked. And I really don't think a villain who's about to destroy a planet, or wherever they are, they're in that place. I really doubt he would stop to watch a dance battle, because that was just stupid to me. So in at number 9 is my most overrated villain easily is Adrian Toomes, aka the Vulture from Spider-Man: Homecoming. Michael Keaton plays him well, and definitely the Adrian Toomes part of this character, Michael Keaton nails. And I think he's okay as the Vulture too, but the villain to me is just very average, because he just kind of has this thing, I don't have much money, and people who do don't care about me, which is fair enough, but it's something we've seen quite a lot. And I think his final battle with Spider-Man really isn't that much. Like, Spider-Man tries to save him, and, he doesn't, and he causes his own demise. Like, that's why I don't like him, because he didn't think that through. I have actually said that about Spider-Man: Homecoming, so I think it's a very, very overrated film. I think the Spider-Man and the Vulture parts aren't actually that good, but the Adrian Toomes and the Peter Parker parts are actually really, really, really good. Like that car scene where they're driving to the Homecoming dance, Michael Keaton and Tom Holland in that scene just do so well. And I really like him in that, but overall I think he's just a bit meh. And in at number 8 is Baron Zemo from Captain America: Civil War. Now Zemo, he does get on my nerves. He does, because I don't understand with people when they're like, for example, in this film, he's the villain because he lost his family in Sokovia in Age of Ultron, which is understandable, but at the same time, I don't understand these people. They do it quite a lot in these villains. It's like, oh, you killed my person while saving the world. It's like, yeah, but I was saving the world. Like, your family members died in place of the entire world. Like, I would be happy with. Like, I don't understand. Like, I know it's obviously sad to lose your family members. I'm not saying it's not, but when it's kind of a few, like a city or the entire world, I think it's pretty obvious what would be the choice. Daniel Brühl did do a decent performance as well, but Baron Zemo was he was very, just kind of annoying. He kind of just got on your nerves every time he was in a scene. But you do have to give him a lot of credit, because he is, I'm pretty sure, if I'm looking now, he is the only one, yes, he is the only Marvel villain to accomplish his goal. His goal was to pit the Avengers against each other, and he achieved that. So in at number 7 is Ultron from Age of Ultron. And I liked Ultron, actually. James Spader put in a really good performance, I think. I think Ultron looked really cool, too. But I think they missed the mark with Ultron just a bit, because they tried to make him subtle until the end when he, like, kind of unleashed his true power. But that unleash at the end never came, which was a big problem for me. Because it happens again in a later Marvel film with another villain, which I think was perfect, which you'll see as we get further down. But Ultron, yeah, he was just too subtle. He never really popped. And in the subtle moments, he was actually really menacing and actually quite creepy. But because of that, like, he never actually, like, released his full power. It was a big problem to me. But in at number 6 is Johann Schmidt, or aka the Red Skull from Captain America the First Avenger. Hugo Weaving. It's a shame he didn't like playing the Red Skull, because I think he actually did a really good job as the Red Skull. And this is coming from a film which I don't actually like all that much. I don't really like Captain America the First Avenger really at all. But Hugo Weaving really did do well in it. And I think that the Red Skull looked really cool. And he looked like the comics, which was really, really good. And I think what he did do, I can't really remember what he did. It has been a while. But I think what he was trying to accomplish did work quite well. And I mean, there have been people wondering if he's going to come back. He never actually died. He got sucked up to the galaxy. So people are actually wondering if he's ever going to come back. And, I mean, we'll see. I doubt it, but we'll see. But in at number 5 is Darren Cross, a.k.a. the Yellow Jacket from Ant-Man. Corey Stoll did... I see a lot of people say that he's awful. I really don't agree. I think Darren Cross is actually really, like, menacing. Like, he kills innocent little animals day after day. And an innocent man day after day. Just to try and perfect this serum. And I think the Yellow Jacket is the coolest looking villain, just straight out. I think he looks so awesome. And that final battle with him and Ant-Man is just so well crafted, with a big Thomas the Tank Engine and all that. And I do like him, how he kind of like sat, he was mentored, and then he kind of overtook Hank Pym, and then just like unleashed his power into the entire company. I really, really liked that. So in at number 4 is Loki, even though this is the Thor Ragnarok Loki. Loki from the first Thor film. I liked him, I really did. I think Tom Hiddleston was an instant kind of catch as Loki. And I really, really liked his connection to Thor, the protagonist, because I really like that within villains when they have a lot of connection to the good guy. I really think that's cool. And I think that Loki, the way he kind of just like, he shifted from this kind of angry person into this true villain was really, really good, I thought. I just really like Loki. But then in at number 3 is Bucky Barnes, aka the Winter Soldier from Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Sebastian Stan, what a character. He's one of my favourite characters in the entire MCU. I love him. And I loved when he was like, I loved him having a bigger part in Civil War. And I just love Sebastian Stan. I love the Winter Soldier's look with the metal arm and the star, and it looks so cool. His action sequences are so well done and so well crafted. It is part of why The Winter Soldier is my favourite MCU film, is because of how well crafted the action sequences are with the Winter Soldier himself. And I also really liked his backstory. It made you feel for him, and once again that connection he has to the main character, Bucky Barnes. You know, the greatest childhood love, or for Stucky fans, love interest of Steve Rogers, which was just really, really good to me. But then in at number 2, he's making a second appearance, is Loki from the Avengers. He was really good in this in this film, and I think his plan in this was so well done with the massive wormhole in the end, and he really did pose a threat. He was such a trickster, which is so faithful to what Loki is. And when he's in the prison on the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier, and, you know, he makes the Hulk go angry and does all this and does all that, he is just so well made, and Tom Hiddleston just does such a good performance as Loki. And I love the final battle too. Even though Loki isn't massively prevalent in the final battle, it's more his minions. He still made all that happen, so he still does technically count as him being there. And then the Hulk killing him is just hilarious. But my personal favourite MCU villain is Ego from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I might get a lot of flack for this. This might be people might massively disagree with this, but I loved Ego so much. He was what I was talking about earlier with Ultron, when I said there was someone else on this list who kind of had a big impact after being subtle. It was Ego. Ego kind of started out as, a father. He was the father to Peter Quill. And I love that as villains. It sounds like a weird connection, but Mother Gothel from Tangled, she uses motherhood as a manipulative thing instead of like a loving thing. And Ego does that too, but with fatherhood. And I think that's really clever. And I absolutely loved his personality. He was so charismatic, and he really drew everyone in. And then he was subtle all through it. And then when he said that, it killed me that's why it hurt me so much to plant the tumour in her head. It was just it was like, oh my god. Like, I knew he was the villain, but I didn't think he did that. And then when he unleashed his final form and he became like a Super Saiyan planet, it was like, whoa! It was so good, and I just loved that final battle too. I loved everything about that final battle, because they made everyone do something. Even Baby Groot. Even Baby Groot had a pretty pivotal role, probably the most pivotal. He had to actually blow up the core of Ego. And he was very close to accomplishing his plan. Like, he actually did set off those flower things in the planets for a good few seconds before Quill stopped him. So yeah, I loved him, and Kurt Russell just did such a good job. So that's my personal ranking of the MCU villains. How would you rank them? Are you one of those people who thinks that all of them are really awful? Because a lot of them are, I'll be honest. But anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. If you've liked it, hit that like button, because it lets me know that you like it, and it lets me know that I'm doing something worth watching, and subscribe to stay updated with my future content. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, and goodbye.